Hi, my name is Greg, and I like to build beep. If you want to be a good engineer, it's just something you're going to have to get comfortable with. Besides, making beep is fun, and if it's done right, it can be good for the planet too. Right now, I'm going to share a little project I worked on for my Intro to Engineering class. It's called Project MakieBike. It's an example of a new wave in the design field known as upcycling, where you take a material that's bound for the landfill and turn it into something new and interesting. I've chosen scrap pallets as my raw inventory because they're everywhere. Did you know that in the US alone we manufacture over 500 million pallets a year? That's enough to build a pallet ladder from here to the moon. It's a lot of climbing. Or even put together and build a 100 cubic mile mountain. Considering almost half the pallets out there are used only once, that makes a ton of material that we could possibly divert from the landfill. Oh no, wait, make that 4,000 tons of landfill. From pallet scrap, I chose to build a kid's balance bike, mostly because I like bikes. Also, I know a lot of kids have a hard time learning to balance a bike at the same time they try to develop pedal coordination. I recall several years ago seeing a cute little wooden bike in a bike shop. It was $100, no pedals, so I thought, someday I'm going to have to make one of these. Well, nothing like a deadline to get things rolling, eh? So, how did I go about building the MakieBike? I started by finding a pallet in the PCC parking lot out behind the engineering building. I beat it into pieces with a hammer. I cut it up on the bandsaw in the school's machine shop. I bolted it together, sprinkled on a few 3D printed plastic parts, and voila, MakieBike. Here it is. It was actually surprisingly easy, way easier than I would have ever imagined. Here are the 3D printed parts. I printed it off on my printer sitting right next to my office here. In addition to the pallet that's recycled, I also have a piece of chair that was really strong wood made for the steering mechanism here. I've got on the rear fender, this is from an old game detergent bottle that I salvaged out of the recycling bin. You might note here on closer inspection, the handy dandy handle grips here made from an old hose. So all in all, lots of recycled parts out of this. I even threw in a speaker system too from an old iPhone stereo that I was going to throw away. There's a lot of engineering aspects that go into making a bike. Steering and frame geometry, strength materials, safety factors, and of course, speaking of design, this is my second custom fat tire bike. Here's a picture showing MakieBike along with its big brother, right over there, my big duck bike. Overall, I'm very pleased with the outcome. Initially, I thought I'd paint it green to match my duck bike when it was done, but I kind of like the idea of keeping it raw, making sure that people could clearly see that it came from a pallet. Can't exactly write it, but I did find a couple of CCs that were more than willing to give it a go. Both gave it a big thumbs up and a wheelie too. Check out the cool red speedometer I've got on here. Laser cut with a little laser cut panel on it too.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Like that?
That'll do the trick. I had so much fun building the MakieBike, I thought maybe someday I might make a bigger version. You know, when I get old, can't walk anymore, use it instead of a walker. Go ahead, check out my new idea. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Building. So go out, get dirty, get your hands busy, and make something.